Oh boy, it's a new link. We're still here. It's the Best Bet Show. It's still happening on Tuesday. A little technical difficulties can't hold us down. This is the Field of 68's Best Bets Show. We are the three-man weave. We are presented by BetRivers. Guys, we're going to skip over the takeaway section because we already did it. Kai's mad at Mizzou. SMU's bad in second halves. Illinois had a tough day. EJ Liddell rocks. That's all you need to know. That's what we took away from yesterday. Let's get right into the matchup of the day, fellas. That is UCLA Gonzaga rematch, Final Four. I said in the prior link, it's the best game I've ever watched. And I kind of stand by that. Shot making, overtime, game winner at the buzzer, undefeated team stays undefeated. It was pretty incredible, all things considered. Gonzaga game, you immediately think about Drew Timme. Kai, how do you stop him? What is UCLA's plan there, especially without Cody Riley? Do you think Drew Timme goes nuts in this one?
Oh, yeah, Jim. Timme time, handlebar mustache feeling, although I think he shaved it. Poor move by Timme. Yeah, Timmy's going to go off in this game. I don't care. They have Miles Johnson. Pull him to the perimeter, make him guard in space. It's Timme time all day, Matthew. I'm leaning towards the Zags. I know 7 seems very, very high. I think they can get it done here. I'm also hoping for just an awesome game because that was the best game we've ever seen last season in the Final Four.
Yep, it ruled pretty hard. Matt, what do you see in this one?
I can't believe I'm considering betting against Gonzaga, but I think 7 is just a high number. They are on a tier above UCLA, but I think UCLA poses a few matchup potential road bumps that the Zags will have to circumvent. And I think 7 is sort of that key number where you're catching as a dog. It's one that you want to latch onto. And it all comes down to shot making, right? Is UCLA has continued to make tough shots game in and game out. They have multiple guys who can do that, defend on the wing. And yeah, the upfront presence, with Timme, how are they going to defend him? Are they going to double? Are they going to just go 1v1 with Miles Johnson? We don't know that. Mick Cronin's sort of mixed and matched his coverages before, but that's really the key thing. We saw Timme dominate a soft Texas front line. Let's just call it what it is. Without Dylan Disu, it's sort of a wing-laden, soft, work in progress, makeshift front line, not what you're seeing in UCLA. So I think Timme could be in for a rude wake-up call. I don't think it's going to be like a Baylor thing, Kai, where it's like he looks outmatched, like men versus boys type stuff, but I don't think he dominates like we've seen him dominate so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, you said soft Texas front line. It was also a soft game plan. Like, it was very much like, you know what? Timme's going to score. Let him do it. And we're not going to double. And you just can't do that against him. And Miles Johnson's a solid defender, but I don't think you can go one-on-one against him or Timme will put up 30. And he had a pretty solid game in the Final Four last year. But the UCLA shot making was just out of this world. Juzang is incredible. Jaquez just gets better and better. It feels like he's so versatile. And Campbell owns the floor. I mean, we got two great point guards here too. I feel like that matchup's going to get buried behind the wings and the big men, but Campbell and Nembhard have been terrific so far this year. They were great last year. Whoever controls the pace will probably be huge, although UCLA is running more this year.
Right.
So Matt, do you feel like over might be interesting just because, man, it seems like they're going to be up and down, and both offenses are lethal.
That's where I was going back and forth. We've seen Mick Cronin in years past, non-conference, his teams run more than they do in conference play, right? Like a closer, tighter, higher leverage games, he sort of goes back to his old roots or grind it out. The UCLA game played 73 possessions in overtime.
The Nova game, you mean?
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, Nova game was 73
UCLA
possessions.
was playing a UCLA game. That's correct.
UCLA played an intra-squad scrimmage. That's what I'm using to project it. No, yeah, they played Villanova 73 possessions in overtime. The other 4 matchups, or the other 3 save Bellarmine, higher possessions. I think this actually gets a lower possession total than projected right now. Ken Palm's got it mid-70s. I can see Mick Cronin trying to park the bus a little bit to keep that prolific Gonzaga transition attack out of the fast lane.
I mean, that's where Gonzaga gets
tough
deadly.
To do, though, right? It's like easier said than done. Like, can you do it? I think that's what you have to try to do. It's your only chance.
Also, I had rumors UCLA players might be a little under the weather. We don't know who. We don't know who's sick. Affected, who's
I have the
super
black
sick. Yeah.
I have the black lung.
If anybody's out for UCLA or hampered, that's not a good. Gonzaga is the worst team to be sick against. Let's just say that.
I believe it was Bernard and Juzang that didn't start after halftime last night, which may or may not tell you that they're the guys that are under the weather. I mean, Cronin has openly said he's been sick, but it's a big game. I think they're going to be up for it. They probably got a great night of sleep in Las Vegas last night. There's no such thing as
the city
bad
that always
sleep in Vegas.
The city that always sleeps, as they call it, right?
Always sleeps soundly. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, huge one. I don't think any of us are taking a strong stance on it. I would probably take Gonzaga if I had to do anything, just not in the mood to get in front of them. But Matthew, little UCLA lean.
We'll see, little bit.
Only a little bit. All right. Potentially the over. It would feel like a fun over bet because this could be a shootout, total shootout if UCLA decides to run. All right, let's move on down the outline, guys. That was the headliner, but we've got a couple other great ones, including a mid-major clash. Two teams that we are relatively high on internally, Stephen F. Austin and Buffalo. We saw Buffalo hang around, take some punches against Michigan. First question, Kai, is that effort a little less impressive now with Michigan's 2 losses, or are you still like, okay, Buffalo was good and Michigan's still awesome?
No, I still think Michigan's awesome. I still think that was an impressive effort coming back by Buffalo. I don't think it was a sign that Buffalo is not very good that they got down so quickly, because I do think Michigan's still awesome. It's hard to make conclusions about teams this early in the season. Michigan's just fine. Buffalo is too, Matt. I really like Stephen F. Austin at the opening number. Gavin Kinsmill is the guy you guys need to know. He's an awesome player, WAC player of the year candidate, averaging like 18 and 9. He is a force inside. And Buffalo's been kind of struggling on the glass, Matt, which is surprising to me for the level of athletes they have on this team.
Yeah, and we saw them struggle to defend the post against Michigan. I know it's Hunter Dickinson, and that's an outlier caliber post player. But when I see the same guy go over his right shoulder 20 times, there's just a little bit lacking in terms of intelligence and technique in guarding the post. And that's key against Kemsel, as Kai highlighted there for SFA. SFA it's a typical SFA team mostly, but they have this interior meal ticket element in Kensmil where they can go and get a bucket, a beast inside, can score inside out, right, left hand. I think he's a matchup problem for this Buffalo front line, even as dynamic and as athletic as Josh Mballa is, and some of those dudes up front. I think Kensmil, I keep switching the N and the S there, gets his today. I like SFA at +5.
Interesting, Matt. We talked about Bertram in the Michigan preview. I think he's going to be the one that has to battle with Kensmil inside. SFA has not had Nigel Hawkins all season. He's the UTEP transfer, pretty solid guard for them. Apparently had a great offseason, but he's still banged up. I don't think he's playing today. And then, SFA, all about turnovers, forcing turnovers. That's their defense. Buffalo hasn't been elite taking care of the ball. Not terrible, but right now 200th in turnover rate. That's fine. And if you're not careful against SFA, they can go on runs against you. That's like their big thing. Get a couple baskets, force a couple turnovers, and then suddenly it's a 10-0 hole, and you're like, what happened? How did that happen? So
I think sorry, real quick here. Over could be a good play. Both teams are hyper aggressive defensively. I think this is a lot of fouling. You get a lot of freebies at the charity stripes on both sides. And when you get two sort of frenetic, pace friendly up and down teams against each other, you can see this being a little bit of a pinball back and forth on top of the free throw-a-thon. I think there's a lot of points here.
Yeah, 302nd Buffalo is in defensive free throw rate, and Stephen F. Austin is 354th. So, I mean, that
they're
tells
last.
you.
Wow, they're actually not last. Nice job, SFA. Improvement. Very good.
A lot of fouls is very likely in this one. So as long as they knock down free throws, that's good for you and you're over. All right, let's keep moving down the line here. George Mason and Nevada. Boy, guys, hard teams to figure out right now. George Mason looked like the darling of the basketball world after the win at Maryland. They'd blown out 3 opponents before that. And now they're on a 2-game losing streak. They lost to local rival James Madison. They lose to Washington, who has been awful. So losing to Washington on a neutral court is not as acceptable as it normally is. George Mason was favored. And then Nevada, they're 1-4. They've lost 4 straight, I think. And now they're taking on a George Mason team that seemingly is on the rise. I don't know. Nevada just kicked off AJ Brahma this morning, Kai. Yeah. What do you do with this matchup? I have no idea.
Yeah, you got to wonder if the Brahma thing is good for the locker room chemistry.
The old addition by subtraction.
Yeah, we've seen guys leave and teams get better, but I tend to lean towards Nevada is in disarray. They're broken right now. South Dakota State is awesome, but they lost by 27. I mean, right. AJ Brahma doesn't really make that be. 27 points is way too much. I think George Mason is going to find a lot of success from 3. Slightly concerning that Washington dominated them pretty much the entire game. I won't say dominated. They controlled the entire game. Yeah. Mason really never had a chance to win it. So I am taking George Mason plus 3.5 is my best bet
What?
today. I do believe that that Nevada is just so in shambles right now, Matt, that it's giving me confidence in the Patriots. They're discombobulated. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
So best bet, George Mason plus 3.5.
Kai, I wish you luck. I don't really have a profound take here. I'm still in the camp that Nevada is bad, but it's not a full-blown Armageddon situation. You just look at the schedule which they've played: San Diego, Santa Clara, San Francisco, South Dakota State. Obviously, that's a team you should win more than 0 of those games. But we're going to look back, and I think those losses, especially to Santa Clara, San Francisco, and South Dakota State, will age very well. Now, losing at home to San Diego, inexcusable. I'm not going to dance around that. But to Kai's point, or Jim's point about the Brahma suspension, I guess I'm looking to back Nevada maybe as a buy low later in the year. But right now, with the Brahma thing, there could be some serious undercurrents in terms of locker room chemistry stuff that just you don't need to bet on Nevada. So I think it's either a Mason side or no play.
Yeah, I'm certainly leaning with Kai with Mason. Despite the last 2 losses, I still think it is a team that is ticking up. It has talent, like the Schwartz and ticket gains, Power 6 transfers are very solid. And yeah, Nevada's just, they haven't figured things out defensively. That's for sure. They are a mess on that end. First half yesterday against South Dakota State, they forced 15 turnovers and still gave up 51. So Nevada's D is really has some issues right now. All right, let's go to the next one on our outline here, guys. That is Virginia and Providence. Man, Virginia not looking great. They squeaked out a cover yesterday with some late free throws and an ugly one against Georgia, but not an impressive performance. Not something where you're like, oh, Virginia's back. They're emphatically who we thought they were. Now they take on Providence, who's been pretty good, although they shot the lights out yesterday against Northwestern. That helped them control that game from start to finish. Matt, what are you looking at with this one? You expect another slow crawl, totals hyper low. Providence has been bet to a favorite. Do you agree with that movement?
I'm torn. I know you guys have had a better read on this Providence team than I have. You look at the Wisconsin game, I think we would admit that was pretty impressive. We watched that game closely, and I would argue, and the shot quality metrics back it up, that was maybe a bit of an anomaly with shot making on both sides. Wisconsin not making shots they normally hit, Providence vice versa.
And no Johnny Davis.
Right? So you could put an asterisk next to that game. Then they barely escaped from New Hampshire. I know New Hampshire's a feisty dog, so I don't want to read too much into that. And then they pick off a Northwestern team, which we just warned the folks yesterday, Kai, that it's a Northwestern team that's a little bit fraudulent. They are exposed against power conference competition. So I'm sort of in wait and see with Providence. I don't know if they should be a 2-point favorite over Virginia, but this Virginia team is not the Virginia team we've seen the last few years, obviously. So I'm still sort of trying to sort out this mess, I guess.
No, they're not the team we've seen recently, Matt, but this is classic peaks and valleys, troughs, peaks. Virginia's had its trough. This is the lowest. Lows, yeah. This is the lowest you can get Virginia right now in the market, I think. And Providence is reaching its peak. So if you believe in selling high, buying low, this is a game I think you need to do it. I think Virginia, Jim, might struggle to score. That's kind of what they do. That's their MO.
I don't think you need to be a conjecture about that. They will struggle to score against in basically every game this season.
I also think Providence will too, though. I think Virginia's defense can make their life a living hell. There's not a ton of outside shooting. Noah Horschler, former Birds of Trey, he can shoot, but otherwise I'm not too scared of Providence's shooters, Jim. So I'm leaning towards Virginia +2.
They made like 13 threes yesterday, Kai. Jared Bynum knocked down 3. Usually it looks like Jared Bynum is throwing the ball at the hoop, trying to get it there, but not even trying to make it. But Kai, I'm locking in a best bet here too. It is not the under. I feel like we've almost talked ourselves in the under, but I'm taking Virginia +2.5 currently at BetRivers. Love that little extra half hook in a game that's going to be super low scoring. I talked about the Tony Bennett underdog splits, ATS, on the Houston episode, and he got absolutely demolished in that game. But you know what? I'm sticking by it. Providence is not Houston. This is not a road game. I think Virginia can win this one outright. +2.5. I'll take it. It's going to be close. So go Cavs. All right. That is it for our top section, guys. Let's go to our first chat mob break. Hopefully we've got enough people that have migrated over from the prior link. Kai, do we have some games being asked about?
Jim, we sure do. And our first one is UMBC American. We're going to the extra board right away. 4.5, -4.5 in favor of the Retrievers. Jim, I don't have a good lean in this one, to be honest. American has had some, oh my gosh, results.
Yeah.
Chief of mine, the 40-point loss to Longwood.
Well, this is basically we got absolutely murdered by Longwood Club. Like UMBC got
as well. You're right.
thoroughly demolished by them as well. So both these teams are probably licking their wounds from that still. I would probably lean towards the underdog just because I think these teams are pretty close to even. There's not a big geographical spread for them, so that the home court's fairly minimal. I would lean towards American, Matt, but it's not super strong.
Yeah, I lean toward American as well, but nothing strong. Total's been bet up 3 or 4 points. I think people are catching on to Jim Ferry's "we're going to run at all cost" mentality there.
Yeah, I wish they would have done that against UMass on opening day.
Yeah, which made no sense. I'm still bitter about that too. Love when you're bitter about totals a week in the rear view that are on the
that's
extra
2
board.
weeks ago, baby. That's
is it 2 weeks now?
Yeah.
What is it? November still? Yeah. Okay. Jeez. Lost track.
Next game, let's go with Penn going to Towson. Penn, I think, Matt, has shaken off the cobwebs a little bit from the early season. They definitely struggled. Now they're looking good. And they don't have Lorca Lloyd, I believe. I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot. I don't believe in Towson, Matt. What they've shown so far isn't as impressive, I think, as maybe analytics sites suggest.
I agree. I've been a little bit lower on Towson in the market. Jim sort of talked me into believing in Towson. I'm coming around to that slowly, but this game spot is more about the situation for Penn. This is their 8th game of the year, I believe. They played a gauntlet of a schedule. They played Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and now Tuesday with this short-ish bench, at least a short proven bench without Lorca Lloyd. I do worry they might crack here. I think the value is on Penn, but that's if you don't account for the situational spot disadvantage that Penn's in. So if you normalize for that, then I think the current number is about right, Jim.
Yeah, that's the like unquantifiable thing for me.
Right. What do you make of that?
In a just complete vacuum, I would make Penn a very slight favorite here, but that matters. So staying away, and Lorca Lloyd's status does matter the way Towson plays. They want to get on the offensive glass, and Lorca Lloyd's like their biggest dude. So that does matter a little bit. Going to be curious to see if he gets any minutes today.
Oakland and Rice. Matt, a game close to your heart because you've backed the Grizz in basically every single game this season. Do you like them against Rice? I believe they are now a 2.5-point favorite at BetRivers.
Yeah, not at the current price. But yeah, I mean, Oakland, I think the market has finally caught on that they're a legit team. I'm just confused as to why it was a slow adaptation, but the Grizz are legit. Jamal Cain, 22-16. Again, we'll continue to cite this broken record. He is a Big East all-conference caliber talent playing on a Horizon team. And Vermont was without a key defender yesterday, helped him go bananas. So if you're going to look at betting Oakland, if you don't find an awesome defender that can guard a weapon like Cain, they're probably a decent value bet. So I think the number's too high here, Jim. Can't back him.
Yeah, I mean, Jamal Cain is like the new, the wing forward version of Kendrick Nunn at Oakland. It's just this guy is way too good for this team, for this league. He's going to put up crazy numbers. And yeah, I'm not sure Rice has any even like mildly competitive matchup for him. Like the athleticism and the size that he has, they're all guards and the one big man in feed there. So definitely worried about what Cain's going to put up, but agreed, number is a stay away.
All right, a couple quick hitters here, guys. Matt, does Cincinnati cover against Arkansas? +5.5, I think, is the spread.
I'll probably take them small because I fade Arkansas every game, but I've officially stopped making that an auto play in my portfolio, Kai. They should have covered by many, many points yesterday against K-State, but the Purple Kittens came back and got us a subtle backdoor, depending on what number you got. I'll probably take Cincinnati small, but certainly am impressed more and more the more I watch Pick Suey, Jim.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I think Cincinnati's going to be pretty feisty as an underdog as they were yesterday. Arkansas controlled that game though. Like we snuck the back door on +8, +8.5, but Arkansas was a better team. If you're going to change your rating, it would be to bump up Arkansas. You don't penalize them for that late weirdness. And they were clearly playing Matador defense late. Like Kansas State got layup after layup in the final 3 to 5 minutes. So I was more impressed with Arkansas than I thought yesterday.
I respectfully ask both of you to respect quick hitters and not pass.
Sorry.
That's okay. And Jim, you'll not make the same mistake. SLU, Illinois State. SLU, your brother's alma mater. What do you think?
Yeah, that's right. I thought the opener was high. It's been bet down a little bit. I'm not really excited about backing Dan Muller, but at 12, I think they were feisty and can hang around. But 11, it's not a bet I was excited to make, so it's not something I want to recommend. Put it that way.
Let's go back to you, Jim. We'll hit the rest of the question in the chat. So much participation today. I love it.
I love the participation. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Back to the outline, guys. We're going to the Maui games. The first one is tipping in about an hour, but this is not the first one. This is on the winner's bracket. This will be later in the evening. Houston versus Wisconsin. I mean, two teams that have a pretty definitive style over the years. Play in the half court, brawl with you, make you earn every point you can get. Houston was mega impressive yesterday. Just kind of took care of Butler right from the start, got up 17 zip, and I believe won or led by double digits basically the whole time. Wisconsin got down 16, Matt, and then they got up by 16. They had a 32-point swing in that game, knocked down a bunch of shots late in the first half that eliminated the lead. Pretty impressive effort from them, honestly, especially with Davis back in the court. Do you think they can hang around here against Houston, or are the Cougars too good?
Well, the early money seems to think Houston wins by 20. Line opened 5. It's been up to 7.5. Yeah, the punch back from Wisconsin was very impressive. Like A&M going 6 of 7 from 3 to start. It's obviously a hole that some teams would just fold, but the Badge came roaring back. They had the lead by halftime, which is impressive, and they just dominated the Aggies second half. Houston, Kai, we've learned that opening game effort against Hofstra probably an anomaly, and I think they have a significant athleticism, size, all the cliche stuff, edge over Scotty here. But Johnny Davis is such an X factor, man. He kind of is like a neutralizer in that regard. I'm considering counter punching against the early steam and taking the Badge at +7, especially in a game that's going to play to like 40 possessions, and covering 7 feels like covering 27 in a game this slow.
Matt, I wrote down, why do I have a small play on Wisconsin? I know.
I don't know why I'm considering either, but 7?
Houston just buries teams of similar pace, at least this year, right? Virginia, 20, Butler, 18. You can poke holes in both those teams for sure. I'm just kind of scared of Houston. They're the third best defense in the country currently per KenPom. Wisconsin's offense is ranked 90th. That seems like a huge deal to me. Wisconsin's going to have trouble scoring, Jim. They have to hit shots. Literally, the only way they're going to beat Houston is hitting shots. And Houston's super efficient. Wisconsin's defense is elite as well, but Houston's offense is just way better than Wisconsin's. I'm siding with Matt a little bit. I'm leaning towards Wisconsin because it's a 122-point game. That's the total. That's super low. I'm hoping Wisconsin keep within 7.
Also worth noting here. Oh, real quick, Jim. Tremont Mark did make his debut yesterday for those that missed. So this will be his second game back. Did you say that, Jim? I just didn't pay attention to.
No, I was gonna say it.
So I stole your point. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, he's important, folks. He matters. Houston's offense could sometimes look stuck in the muddy, and he's a shot maker. And I think as he gets healthy, acclimated, he will only buoy Houston's value.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be today. Sampson talked in the presser yesterday about how he's pretty rusty and basically like hasn't played since last year. Like he did not have a big offseason because of the injury. So curious to see how long it takes him to knock the cobwebs off. There was time yesterday where I just like didn't even notice him on the court, and he's too good for that. So yeah, with only one day turnaround and coming off an injury, I'll be curious to see his impact. Agree, numerically, the edge is probably with Wisconsin, but man, I'm just not really excited to get in the way of Houston. I was very impressed with them yesterday. They had a little bit of a lull, but when they're locked in, they're really, really good. All right, let's move on down the outline. We almost talked ourselves into Wisconsin there, guys. It was dangerous. The other semifinal, Oregon and St. Mary's. St. Mary's won the late nightcap against Notre Dame, barely squeaked it out late, thanks to a missed free throw by Notre Dame. Very surprising. And Oregon took a while to get going against Chaminade, but eventually blew them out. The Ducks seem like they're not really as cohesive as we had hoped for. They blew out SMU, but then the BYU game, they were terrible. Took a while to get going yesterday. Kai, we did have, I personally was very high on Oregon coming into the year. You were more cautious optimism with the Ducks. So are you worried about them today taking on a really well-coached Gales team?
A little bit worried, yeah. Like you said, Oregon's just not really firing on all cylinders quite yet. It's coming, Matt. It's definitely coming. Oregon will be fine at the end of the year. St. Mary's is a tough team to get right against. Gales are very for real. We saw that against Notre Dame. They controlled that game. They're well coached. Obviously, tons of experience. Their defense is really good. They box out. They don't make mistakes.
Yep.
It's not really a team you can just hope to be, I hope they're off today. No, St. Mary's isn't really off. They're just solid. They're rock solid. Oregon has the athleticism, the talent advantage, but Matt, I'm not sure it's enough. I'm staying far away with a slight lean towards St. Mary's at +2.
Yeah, I lean that way as well. The early money pushed it
Wow.
up. Yeah, it's shocking. I just think that
You guys think that these two teams are 2 points apart? I'm surprised.
right now I do. I think in a month we're looking back and saying Oregon should, be closer to maybe a 4 or 5 point favorite. But Jim, you said it. This a little bit of a trial and error period for Oregon. The broadcast talked about that at length against Chaminade. You can just kind of tell the offense is still trying to find out where it needs to go, what the pecking order is. They're still kind of sorting out roles, both in the backcourt and the front court.
Yep.
And St. Mary's look great. You're right, Kai. It's a balanced team. It's not just an offensive execution-based team. They can guard. They have some athletes, Logan Johnson, and those wings they have up front. So I like St. Mary's today, Jim. I actually would consider punching back against the early team at +3. But I think the point you're making is that in a month or so, Oregon probably maybe makes that leap that we're expecting. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yep. To your point, Altman was not real high on his team's performance yesterday, and it just kind of sounded like, yeah, we're figuring things out right now. And I think that's especially true on the offensive end. And that is why one of my two best bets today, the other is the under here. St. Mary's and Oregon. I think St. Mary's really knows they need to play in the half court here. They did it yesterday against Notre Dame. It's a tournament. They want to play a little slower. And Oregon clearly has the athletic advantage, but the offense has not come together at all. Like it was really choppy yesterday against Chaminade, and that's concerning. It's a D2 team. So I think this one's slow. I think up in the 130s is a little bit too high. So under 131.5, my second best bet of the day. Really going to be great to be in person watching that with the hope that it stays under. Those are always fun.
Rooting for ugly games in which you attend. Yeah, not a fun exercise.
Nope. But Matt, that's how you get winners.
Right.
You got to swallow your pride. Another ugly one here at Maui, Texas A&M and Butler. Oh boy, these two teams yesterday had some struggles. Butler definitely shorthanded. No Bryce Enzi, no Miles Tate. There's no Bo Hodges. So they are certainly working with a shorthanded rotation. Ended up burning a red shirt on DJ Hughes. So they are really trying to get things figured out. And then Texas A&M started 6 for 7 from deep, looked awesome all over Wisconsin, and then just melted down from there. Could not figure out how to score. I think that might be the case again here, Kai. Are we looking at a potential Maui under, or are you just staying away from these two teams?
Yeah, that's probably the best bet here is the under if you're going to choose something in the game. It's hard to back either team from a side perspective. Butler is especially a mess without Enzi and the other guys you mentioned, Jim. Texas A&M looked good at first, but they're Texas A&M. They just haven't been good lately. Their offense is 108th in the country. It's boring. It's going to be a defensive battle. I think Butler's offense is 100th. Like, it's not going to be a fun game to watch. Claw your eyes out, indeed.
I can't wait to sprint there after this show. You're really getting me hyped.
It's -2.5 now in favor of A&M. That's a bit too high for me. I was considering them at -1.5, maybe -2, but I'm staying away, and I'm not watching this game either.
Yeah, I think fading Butler is always a good idea. Just right now in the current environment, which they're dealing with so many injuries, and they're just very much in shambles. A&M is sort of who I'm looking to learn more about today. Their offense shouldn't be this herky-jerky. You have Marcus Williams, a guy from Wyoming, a polished shot maker and creator. You have Tyrese Radford. You have some talent on the wing. I don't know why it seems so. It's like a chore to get a good shot for this team. Even the shots they started off against Wisconsin getting were open, but a lot of contested makes there didn't seem sustainable. And sure enough, the regression pendulum swung back and hit them right in the face quickly. And so it's just tough to get excited about backing this team against Butler, even though it is Butler. So if any play, I'd say fade Butler, but 2.5, I don't know if I'm excited to lay that.
Yeah, laying points with Texas A&M sounds terrifying right now.
That's not great either. Yeah,
like pick or -1. Okay, they just need to win. But late game, if you're like, all right, can Texas A&M take care of the ball and knock down free throws and secure that 3-point win? That's just scary enough that I wouldn't recommend it at this number, especially because they're just not great right now. This is closer to a coin flip than that line makes it seem, I think. So, yep, nothing for us there. Last one on the outline before we get back to chat mob questions. And as you're asking those questions, folks, make sure you hit the like button. Let's get Maddie Maui in a grass skirt dancing. If there are 100 likes, that's happening. And also subscribe to the channel. So make sure you're doing that while you're in the chat. Washington versus South Dakota State, Kai. South Dakota State has been incredible. Your Jack Bunnies, they were 10 for 15 from deep in the first half yesterday. They can shoot. They're maybe one of the top 3 shooting teams in the country. Last year, the 3-point percentage reflects that. It has carried over this year. They're taking on Washington, who is struggling to find an identity. They've lost 2 bye games already. They did get the big win against Washington or against George Mason yesterday, but I still think this team is in trouble right now. It doesn't really have an identity outside of Terrell Brown slashing. Do your Jack Bunnies take them to the woodshed?
My gut says they do, Jim, but is it too obvious? And in fact, the number's been bet down. It's -6 right now in favor of South Dakota State. There's money on Washington. Maybe yesterday was a turning point, beating George Mason, looking finally like a competent team. I just don't know if they can stop South Dakota State, Matt. Obviously, they love playing at the Pentagon. They've proven that. They're the 7th fastest tempo in the country, 18th best offense. They're literally turbo.
18th. The Summit League team is 18th in the country 18th. In offense. It's crazy.
I know Mike Hopkins has kind of gone away from zone. He's going to have to go all the way away from zone against South Dakota State. Yeah. You cannot zone this team. Might be the best shooting team in the entire country. So I'm leaning towards the Bunnies, Matt. One other point, South Dakota State does not foul at all. They have one of the lowest foul rates in the country, and Washington has lived the line this season. That's going to be a real issue for them if they're forced to make shots.
I mean, the only case you can make for Washington here is that this is like a buy low, sell high. But I'd argue South Dakota State's not at their peak value at all. I mean, I'm not ready to declare them the second coming of the 2019 Wofford team. That was a legitimate top 20 team, 8-9 seed, and basically had Kentucky beat. Fletcher McGee makes 1 or 2 more threes. We're talking about that team as one of the cutest Cinderellas of all time. This team has all the ingredients, and against Washington, they basically played one good half of basketball this season. Let's remind everyone that they were down 17 points in the first half to Northern Illinois, who is a garbage basketball team.
Yes,
I guess I would say good luck to the sharp money out there who bet Washington. That's all I have to say. I wish you well on your journey. I don't think it's going to go well for you today.
Matt, I really like that comparison with Wofford because this team does it similarly. They've got Douglas Wilson in the middle. He's kind of the Cameron Jackson facilitator. Play through him. He can score, but he also is a featured element for how they get shots. That's how they get open shots for all those shooters. And then, there's no analog to Fletcher McGee. There pretty much never will be. He's one of the best shooters that college basketball has ever seen. But Baylor Shireman is a unique talent in his own way. 6'6", great passer, terrific shooter. Just a fun lefty, baggy t-shirt headband wearing guy that is a great one to watch. So I'm with Kai. I wanted this to dip all the way down to 5, and I would, if it gets to 5, I will take South Dakota State. At 6, I'm thinking about maybe something smaller because I'm with you, Kai. The gut lean, the want to back the Jack Bunnies against a disappointing Washington team is certainly there. All right, that wraps up the outline. Let's get to chat mob questions. I know there are more comments rolling in. It is a huge day of college hoops, so a lot to get to.
We're doing quick hitter style because I want Jim to get to the Maui. I want him to see those games. All right, this one's for Matt. Georgia, Northwestern. Spreads come down a lot. Any side you like here?
Yeah, Georgia. I mean, it started off at 11, and Northwestern -11 on a neutral floor is just ridiculous. I'm not going to wholeheartedly endorse Georgia at +8, but I think that's the right side if you want action in this game.
Jim, Drexel, Charlotte. Kind of interesting game here. Charlotte's up to -2.
Yeah, it's sort of like the under here. Charlotte pack line team, Ron Sanchez coming from that Tony Bennett coaching tree. Drexel can shoot a little bit, so that's concerning going over the top of it. But Charlotte's got some solid athletes with down transfers. Well, they have some injuries, so staying away from a side, but would look at the under if anything.
My turn. We're gonna weave. Love this.
Nice.
Ask yourself. You're throwing it off the backboard. I love it.
Asheville versus North Carolina. This is the game North Carolina just pounds them. Evan Claiborne, if he's still out for Asheville, it's not going to be competitive. I think North Carolina wins 25, 30 points.
Can they guard something? Can they guard anyone this year, please? Once.
Won't matter today.
Jim? Is that what you're going to say?
North Carolina scoring 110 today.
Yeah, I think they will.
Yep.
It's we're pissed. We're going to win this game.
Yep.
Boston University. Hey, they've been pretty good this year. Who are they playing, guys? Sorry.
Florida State.
Florida State. What do you think, Matt?
Florida State. I think Florida State's had one sort of, I guess they've had 2 questionable games so far this year. Florida's next level defense that they just weren't ready for. They played like they should against Mizzou. I know Mizzou is a terrible basketball team and made them look like gods, but Florida State's pretty legit. And Boston U with some injury.
Boston U's tomorrow.
Is that tomorrow?
It's a Wednesday.
Who are they playing today?
All right.
Oh yeah,
Boston U not playing today. Yep.
No more.
All right, can we clip that and then we'll just paste that into tomorrow's show for that awesome analysis? Okay. Good.
All right, Wofford, South Carolina, Jim.
I like Terriers. I think it's come down a little bit, but this is the last game Keyshawn Bryant is suspended for South Carolina. I think that matters. Big wing athlete to guard all of the shooters on Wofford. I think they execute enough to hang around here.
St. John's and St. Francis, Brooklyn. I got to lean towards the Johnnies. I think they blow them out. Any naysayers there, guys?
They didn't. Yeah, we thought to do the same thing to Fairleigh Dickinson. They
You're
didn't. But
they
it's
twiddled
sort
their
of
thumbs in that game.
Yeah.
Just like go back to the same the same narrative, perhaps. It's a big number, though. I probably won't take it.
We're apparently covering every game on the board here. Tulane, Toledo, Matthew. Toledo's -2.5.
Like Toledo at closer to pick. I think they're the better team, and they should eviscerate Ron Hunter's zone the way they can pass and shoot it.
The worry is that short turnaround, tough to prepare for that zone.
Yep, true.
Jim, 10 miles, San Jose State hosting Northern Colorado. They're dogs.
Yeah, home dog. They've been bet a little bit. I think the money's come in on 10 miles, and they've been awesome against the number this year. I would certainly lean that way. Northern Colorado's on a little bit of a West Coast tour right now. They just played at Cal Baptist 2 nights ago. Yeah, I probably lean towards 10 miles.
And San Jose back after a long road trip themselves, so probably a little reinvigorated after a weary travel experience.
Quinnipiac is +4 against New Hampshire. I'm leaning towards New Hampshire because I think the Wildcats are awesome. And Quinnipiac still without your boy, Matthew, Louise Courtwright.
Yep, who Quinnipiac fans think is the savior and messiah of that program. Quinnipiac's just a poorly coached basketball team. I've watched them the last 2 years. It's the same story there. I'm sorry. Yeah. I love Mr. Dunleavy, but those guards don't play with any sort of intelligence. They don't know what they're doing.
All right, last one, guys. Let's talk Illinois, Kansas State. Have you thought about a side in this one? Bruce Weber,
yes,
has been at Illinois before. Ooh,
Mark Smith
Illinois
as well.
Angry after Coburn's going to kill him, right?
My gut says Illinois bounce back smash, but Kansas State could be kind of feisty. We saw them hang around late yesterday. They got back into it, but I think the talent gap's pretty wide here. The problem is, Matt, Kansas State forces turnovers, and we have not seen Illinois take care of the ball yet.
Oh, wait, you mean you're worried about Curbelo turning the ball over against a pressure-focused defense? That's a shocking take. Yeah, Illinois could have real issues. I actually would look to fade again here with my Purple Kittens.
10 points. That's it, Jim. Thank you, Chat Mob. That was fantastic.
Yeah, beautiful participation after we had to switch links. We will be back again tomorrow, Wednesday.
Wait. Hold on. I didn't announce my best bet, and the folks need my best bet.
Oh, you're right.
That's why they tune in. That's why they're
go to
right
best bets. Let's recap the best bets. We're going to start with mine, Matt, because I'm first on the outline. I have 2, Virginia +2.5, St. Mary's, and Oregon under 131.5. Those are my 2 best bets. Kai, tell them yours.
George Mason +3.5. Let's fire up for the Pats.
Yep. All right, Matt. The people have been waiting. I know that this is the only reason they're still in the chat. They want to hear what you got.
The battle for Portland, Jimmy. I'm taking the Pilots, and I know it's been bet down pretty heavily to 6.5. Portland State just has a poor price in the market currently. I just don't think this is a great basketball team. And the home is basically 0 here if you're going across town. And the Legans over Porter, who's Leggins over Porter coaching is the biggest coaching upgrade we've seen in college basketball this offseason. I don't think Portland's great, but they are not 6.5 points worse than Portland State. That's my handicap, plain and simple. I think they went outright today.
Yep, I'm with you. I can't I'm not going to take it lock with you because that's yours or not best bet, but I love Portland today. I do think they went outright as well. All right, that's it, guys. We end with the battle for Portland. The people were craving it. We had to get to it.
Rip City, baby.
Yep. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you back again Wednesday morning. Tomorrow, we will be on at 11 a.m. Eastern. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So we will have everything functioning then. We'll see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you to BetRivers for presenting this. Thank you to the Field of 68 for getting the show going.